For us, every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon, to make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy, that daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.
Stewart Co Solicitors, a legal excellence firm in London that can help you with all aspects of your legal work. If you are looking at immigrating to the United Kingdom, Stewart Co can help you to set up business, buy houses in the UK, and will deal with all your legal works from start to finish.
For all your general immigration work, we can help you with that as well. If you apply for any form of visa, whether student visas, settlement visas, marriage visas, or a child wanting to come to the United Kingdom to settle with the family, we can help you to achieve your goals.
Stewart Co Solicitors, a legal excellence firm specializing in conveyancing, immigration, litigation, family law, personal injury, licensing, no win, no fee. Contact us today at www.sk-solicitors.com.
Can't do small or big projects with the same dedication and commitment as we do. With a reputation as the leading printing company in the country, when it comes to major projects and innovative solutions, we always deliver in high quality, thus receiving the trust and confidence of our clients. From the moment your order is placed to when it is delivered, we believe in exceeding expectations from the sales manager to the production team, the account manager, and the person delivering your material. We have state-of-the-art equipment and a highly experienced and competent workforce that enables us to deliver top quality work on time. At reasonable prices, we provide our clients with multiple solutions right from conceptualizing, designing, printing, binding, publishing, and distribution. For all your printing requirements, we are strategically located at the Sankumsila Highway, the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation. We print what you desire.
In today's world, everything imaginable is on the internet, which is amazing. And to find anything, it is easy. But that's not the case for Lami. His standard internet connection is frustratingly slow, unable to focus on important things in life. He can't stream a video or search anything. He is fed up with messages like address is not found, timeout connection, and Internet Explorer cannot find web page. That's when his friend Fatima introduces him to GoToTell. At GoToTell, we provide viable, cost-effective, and sustainable internet solutions to businesses and homes. With our nationwide fiber broadband connectivity through EcoOne Gambia project, you can now say goodbye to slow internet. We provide quality services, blazing speed, and amazing customer services. All these at affordable price. Be like Lami and start using GoToTell broadband internet today. GoToTell, creating a brighter future in communication.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Kerr Fatou. Tonight, it's a great pleasure to have one of Gambia's son who is living in the United States and been actively participating in liberating Gambia from dictatorship for the past 22 years. So many Gambians across the world have worked so hard to make sure Gambians are free from human rights violation and dictatorship. Among them is Saidykhan. He is a member of the Gambia Democracy Fund, GDF, and also an active member of the United Democratic Party, but is one person who has been notably visible on the social media to fight the dictatorship. And of course, he's been famously called the CDL, the chairman of the Coalition Defense League. He is a very active supporter of the coalition and the President Barrow government. And we would want to know what his reaction is since 2 years into the government. And of course, recent happenings in the UDP. We would want to know what his take is. But I think first and foremost, Pata, welcome to Kerr Fatou, and it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Fatou. Thank you so much. Before I even start, I wanna congratulate you because this is an amazing place. But that aside, since the change, we have had a variety of media houses and personalities who are joining the conversation. You're playing a very huge role in that. We want that diversity. We want a lot of people in the field so we can have news from all corners and we can have a whole bunch of conversation, people coming in. And participating in the conversation of the nation. So I am glad to be here.
Coming up.
Most of the funds that we disbursed at the time of the campaign were sent to Mrs. Tambayam because she was our liaison. She was the liaison between the, as the chair of the co-chair of the coalition. Yeah. So she was dealing with us.
Make a difference and text CAR CAR to 900 to win a car with Gamcell. Gamcell and Rotary Club of Bruceby brings you a chance to win a brand new SUV Corando. The more you text, the more chances you win. Join Gamcell today for your chance to win a car, fridge freezers, televisions, smartphones, and lots of cash prizes. Draws will be held live on GRTS TV. Proceeds will be used to help the humanitarian activities of the Rotary Club of Bruceby in the Gambia. Every SMS costs $10. Your SMS could save someone's life. Join us and text CAR CAR to 900 today. A brand new SUV Corando awaits you. Rotary, making a difference. Gamcell, Yaiborom.
And first and foremost, before we get into the conversation, I want to start with the news that broke last night. The former president, Yahya Jammeh, and his family being barred from entering the United States. I want to read the part of the statement that was issued by the State Department. It reads, the department is publicly designating the former president of the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, under the terms of Section 7031C of the Department of State, Foreign Operations and Related Programs Appropriation Act of 2018. Due to his involvement in significant corruption. And the Section 71C provides that in cases where Secretary of State has credible information that foreign government officials have been involved in significant corruption or violation of human rights, those individuals and their immediate families are ineligible to enter into the United States. The statement further went on to say, in addition to Yahya Jammeh, this department is publicly designating his spouse, Zainab Yahya Jammeh, his daughter Mariam Jammeh, and his son Mohammed Yahya Jammeh. What does this mean for people like you who have been in the struggle, who have been to the State Department every single time, who have been in Yahya Jammeh's mansion to tell the world, to tell the American government that this guy is corrupt, this guy is killing so many people, informations were presented, thousands of information, so many Gambians walked to the White House, to different departments, just to make sure that everything about the former president is visible. What does this mean?
So there is this kind of saying since elementary school that everybody says 99 days for the thief and 1 day for the owner. For 22 years, I kept saying this. We knew this day was going to come. We just don't know how soon or how long was it going to take, but we knew it was coming. What President Jammeh did in the Gambia was not news to anybody. I keep saying we need not lie against President Jammeh. Everything he was doing, at some point he was not even hiding it. it was just a matter of time. And then we have heard of accounts being there and there. Maybe we cannot ascertain that the Secretary of State might have credible information but from our end in here, we have seen what the Commission was revealing. It was impossible for President Jammeh to be able to have that money without being corrupt. For the human rights violations, they were absurd. It was all over the place. Since 1994, we have seen extrajudicial killings. We have seen people thrown into jails and stuff like that. So I am not surprised, but it's a sense of vindication for all Gambians. It is not right for one person to take the state resources and then have it accumulated and use it the way it wants. We have been seeing the wives shopping at expensive hotels and shops in the U.S. that even Americans were not going over there. We have seen them flying in private jets. We have seen extraordinary amount of expenditure, spending, getting people out of all over the world to come over here and give them dollars instead of dollars, or even calling Senegalese and buying them vehicles and stuff. So it was only a matter of time, and I think it is a job well done for everybody who fought for this day. But most importantly, it is a lesson for anybody else who is going to be in a leadership position. You don't have to be a president, just anybody else. If you are interested to take charge of affairs of the country, there shouldn't be any need for anybody to do what is not required of you. I hope everybody is learning. I am learning, and I'm not in any position of responsibility. But for anybody who is coming after President Jammeh, I hope they are going to be looking at this and notice that whatever you do, it was only going to be a matter of time before it catches up to you. So it's a sense of vindication, and I think it's also laying a foundation for this government, that is, if they are going to pursue President Jammeh in both the financial misappropriation and the human rights violations. The avenues are open now, so they can go and pursue. So it was only a matter of time, but then gradually we're going to get there.
The role the diaspora played in getting to this day, of course, the GDF has been the central body that brought together all Gambians to raise funds to support the coalition initiative. But there were individuals who were really going to the State Department every single day, going to the European Union every single day, just to make sure information was available.
Correct.
Just give us a little take on the role the diaspora played to get to this day.
So, before this government actually declared or pronounced the diaspora to be the 8th region, I have always believed that we were central. And the reason was because people living in this country did not have the opportunity to come out and say certain things. There are people living in this country, they did not even know what was going on in here. Thanks to the diaspora they were here, we were able to disseminate so many information. People were going, the coaches, the bankers, and then the Dr. Jammehs, and everybody, even the opposition party. I'm talking about activists from that end. And my friend, even Mai, was going around knocking on the doors in ECOWAS and in Middle East, and then everybody was doing their bit. So the diaspora had been the most important region at the time, because even here, journalists were censored. So we were sending information. People were going knocking on doors, meeting senators and all of those. Every single one of those count. It is the accumulation, the aggregation of these little efforts that got us to where we are. It came at a cost. There were people who lived in the diaspora for more than 2 decades. They did not come. Some people lost their parents, their loved ones. They could not come. And there were fear that even when they died, some of them were not going to be buried over here. But they assumed that risk. That is one of the sacrifices that I've been telling people. There are people who contribute financially. That was important. But then the sacrifice of not even wanting to come to see your people for fear of being prosecuted and going to jail, to talk about the Gambia, you assume that risk. You were like, whatever. We were sitting there. I remember some of my friends would be coming to vacation. They'll be like, oh, you don't want to go to Gambia, blah, blah, blah. And then luckily for me, my mother wasn't too worried about it, you know what I mean? And that was my main concern. But mine is pretty minuscule compared to those who have been doing this for 2 decades and every day putting their own resources into this, because we never had money. I remember the bankers going to Germany, the Dr. Jammehs and all of those kind of things. You know how it was. But every single effort in the diaspora played a major role, a significant role, even before leading to the elections. But then there had been STGDP, which was Save the Gambia Democracy Project. They were very instrumental in the formation of NAD at the time. They were the financial source of all these efforts. And then GDF came, but shortly before GDF, we have what we call the GUC, Gambians United for Change. This was when Ahmad Sani was arrested, I think. Ahmad Sani was arrested and was tortured, shown on TV. And then at the time that Sabali too made that unfortunate statement, and Mr. Dabo was to go home, we're trying to have some sort of a rally, kind of like support. We mobilize people, we raise funds, so people can go and welcome at the airport, because we were thinking when he gets there he was going to be arrested. So they got vans, and even the next day when he got in the Gambia, he was supposed to go to the NIA. People went over there. So we tried to organize a rally between all the opposition parties in support to show solidarity. So they had a meeting, I think a press conference at Kairaba or one of the hotels. So this is where the fundraising thing came up. We formed the GUC, and subsequently that transformed into GDF, Gambia Democracy Fund. But the only resource we had at the time was Gambians, Gambians abroad. People were putting their hands in their pocket, like throwing money left and right, and they were repeated donors. So I think that is why the diaspora was very significant, and then rightly so, this government at least acknowledged us. They just needed to create a desk office for us, or even have us a seat in the National Assembly for somebody to be representing our agenda in the diaspora. So in a nutshell, we played a significant role. I'm not saying that we were not as important as the voters, but then we gave people the courage, we gave them the information, we gave the financial support, the moral support, the brand trust, and everything. So that's what we did for the change that we were able to have in December.
And of course, the diaspora came together under the leadership of the GDF to raise funds to support the coalition. A lot of people were upset in the diaspora. Some people said the government did not really recognize the diaspora, when it comes to giving opportunities to people who the president had personally called to say, come back home and help in the development. And secondly, when the president made that statement saying he funded his own campaign, people started attacking the GDF, which you're a member of, and said, where is all the money that we raised? And there were a lot of questions were asked.
Sure.
Where is that money? And this was something, I think this will be something that needs to be clarified. GDF raised a lot of money through Gambians all over. Some people will donate. I remember some people will donate without even putting their names, because they don't want to, to be seen as supporting this, because they don't know if Jammeh was going to go. They were supporting anonymously. So if people hear the president say stuff like that, people are like, okay, well, where was the money? I remember that brought a lot of discussion on social media. The diaspora saying, where is the money that we supported, if the president is saying he funded himself?
Yeah. So just a little disclaimer, I as a member of the GDF, I don't want to be a spokesperson. I am not. But because I am a member, I should be able to say a few things about this.
Yeah.
Now, every initiative, anytime that we disburse funds and something comes in, like GDF has a rigorous process. We had a rigorous process of disbursing funds. Anybody who had an event or something comes up, we thought is quote unquote part of the democratic process, we would have them write to us. So we would deliberate. I think we were like 11 or so people. It was myself, Tukulor, Babakoli, Lamin Jada, Mamadou Krubali, Kejau, Omar An, Sol Mbenga, Juka Cisse, Lamin Tunkara, my brother. Let me see. I don't want to skip any names. So basically, we will have Lamin Jara, of course, and then we will have these meetings. And we would, and Demba Balde, my brother of Guyanaco. So we will have these meetings rigorously. We'll be discussing. So when it comes, we will debate to see what are the merits of the request. And then we will discuss, and then if need be, we will vote. And then anytime we disburse, we have to have a receipt, some sort of a receipt, or at least something to show that we disburse it, and we issue a press release to that effect. So when the coalition thing was going, anytime that we disburse funds, we will have a receipt, as I said, and we will also have it out there. So most of the funds that we disbursed at the time of the campaign were sent to Mrs. Tambayam, because she was our liaison. She was the liaison between the, as the chair of the co-chair of the coalition. So she was dealing with us, and Lamin Jara was our liaison. So at some point, they had to bring in Alaji S. Dabo, because he was also in the finance team. So all the funds that we disbursed, we raised up to like over $4 million Gambian dollars. And every single time, like they send it to us, we will disburse, and we have the receipts. We put our books out there for accounting. So when the president said that, it was a little unfortunate. I'm not saying that President Barrow did not put his own money, finance in there. People did, obviously. But it looks to see that our efforts were not as appreciated at the time. it contradicts what they were saying when they came initially.
Yeah.
Because everything we were hearing was, oh, the diaspora this, the diaspora that. So it could have been perhaps he thought people were belittling his efforts or his contributions, and he needed to thumb chest a little bit. But it was a little disappointing. But now we put in a hell lot of money in that campaign.
And the diaspora, do they feel that they are left behind when it comes to jobs and opportunities? Because the president, when he came, called on the diaspora to come home and to help in the development. But a lot of people on the social media will say, we fought alongside the Gambians on the ground to make these changes. But it seems like we are not being giving opportunities to come back home and work. Do you,
so I
feel that way?
No, I do not. I have a little bit of difference with few people when it comes to that part, because personally, when I am speaking about the Gambia or against what was going on, I had no expectations of personal gain or even acknowledgement or recognition. Of course, it's nice when you have it. And I want to believe majority of the people who were too were not expecting anything directly. I want to be able to see a Gambia that is free. People can go on about their business. Of course, the arrest and everything were going to be happening. I don't have a problem with that if they were not arbitrary. We just wanted to stop arbitrariness. We don't just want people, president or anybody, just come up and start arresting people. So I was not expecting anything like that. But then again, for a diaspora that we have perhaps over 200 people, 200,000 people, how do you pinpoint somebody and say, come get a job? It's going to be tough. Myself personally, I do not have the qualification to man anything. I do not. And I had this interview with Jollof News and in What's on Gambia, and they asked me, that was before the impasse, right after the elections. And my point was, I personally expect this government to be transforming the Gambia, to be changing things, kind of like a transition. I am not expecting them to put people in places that are not capable of doing it. I want them to put people in places that have the capacity, the track record of getting things done. This should be the foundation, the base for whatever government is going to come on, so they can build on. So if they put me in a position only because they thought I had fought a fight and I'm not able to deliver, that is going to defeat the whole essence of the fight. Yeah. So personally, I'm not expecting anything, and I know people who are not expecting anything. I think what happened to a lot of us is the lack of acknowledgement, or they thought it was not enough that the government is not acknowledging. But when it comes to positions, of course there are some people, but then you also have to look how many people were ready to leave their jobs from that place to come back with their families already established, coming over here and wanting to serve the country, and then have perhaps less than half of what you're making, half of what you're making over there. So it's a huge sacrifice. Of course, there are people who want to come and serve readily. Those people, the government needs to liaise with them and have them come over. But for people like myself, I have no plans. But then again, to your point, the expectations were there. A lot of people were unhappy. How they were going to do that, I don't know. Perhaps the foreign minister should be able to be going to the diaspora and have meetings with us and gauge people's abilities and competencies and see who would be willing to come home, because I have seen a few people did actually come back, whether they're in the private sector or in the government, or even Babagali and others. So they've been pushing people here and there, the general bars, the Babagalis, and then I noticed Dr. Sen also came back to lecture at the university. You don't have to wait for the government to call you, but for the part of the government, I think they need a little bit of acknowledgement of the diaspora that they have been doing. And lately, we've not been seeing anything anyway, kind of like a challenge, thinking that we're entitled. I don't think it's a sense of entitlement, but they need to do something to at least acknowledge a little bit more than they did.
Before we take our first commercial break, I want to, 2 years into the Barrow presidency, what's your take? Human rights, development, the economy. Generally, what's your take about the presidency, the government?
The CDL part of me is going to come in here, but then I try as much as possible to be objective. Just like every Gambian, I am not naive. I see all the things that everybody else sees. But I am realistic too, Fatou. In the history of political changes or whatever, any country that you have a dictatorship that long, or even entrenched leadership that long, when they have change, especially in the mold that we have in, the kind that we have in, there's always turmoil and instability during that process. President Jammeh had been here for so long, there was not opportunity. He did not even give room to create, to say that, you know what, someday I might go, let me create something so when I'm gone, there should be a degree of stability. Yeah. We were lucky to have the whole world supporters. That helped us. So when Jammeh was in here, I always kept telling people that I do not envy anybody who was coming to work for this government after President Jammeh, because we thought a lot of damage was done. To be able to get that fixed, it's not going to take even one government to do that. I know that, especially for a government that we're expecting to be one term. So I put that at the back of my mind. So that is why I'm able to appreciate some of the things that we're seeing now. People will say, oh, we have freedom and they should not beat their chest to give us that. But well, right here, we're crediting Jammeh for the dictatorship. We're telling people that he confiscated our rights. It is inalienable rights, we get it, but the government was using forces, our state institutions, to take those away from us. So when we have a government that is respecting those, that credit will have to go to them. They have to respect that.
Yeah.
The whole responsibility or duty of a government is to create an enabling environment, right?
Yeah.
So if we have that, the little shortcomings that we have here and there, we can pack those. So one, I am very satisfied that we have that freedom. The people, for me to even be sitting over here and have a conversation about the government and even object with them, people right now are not even afraid, even civil servants, to voice an opinion on how they think their departments are running or even how the government is running or the president. So that is one. Another important sector that I am very, very proud of is the National Assembly.
Yeah.
When President Jammeh was here, hardly would people know what's going on in the National Assembly. It was a whole bunch of people who were just saying yes, 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 right? We have a National Assembly who were disagreeing with the president now. We have seen last year when they were debating, when they had a debate on the budget, and people were even questioning if the office of the First Lady should be created.
Yeah.
And then these were members who ordinarily would have been supporting the president because they belong to a party that the president came from. I'm talking about the UDP MPs.
Yeah.
Lately, we have also seen they have raised issues on this budget about the traveling and all the kind of things. So we have a National Assembly that is independent. I have not seen any degree of influence from anybody. This is why, you don't have to give me that face. This is why I'm coming.
Okay, when when you say that is a National Assembly that is independent, I have a different opinion there. If National Assembly members would go and ask for the president for money, handouts to say they need money for fuel, and the president will give an monthly allowance to that, is that independence? These are the
So when we talk about the independence of the National Assembly, we're talking about one that is not under the influence of any other body, any other arm of government. That's my take on it. I'm coming. What was alleged was that the allegation was that the president gave them money because they asked for fuels. Wrong or right? That's what the allegation was.
Yeah, but
for some of us,
should they even?
No, they should not. Okay. They should not. But for some of us, the reason why we have a problem with that is not just the 10,000. For the fact that I am celebrating our National Assembly as the institution that is supposed to be a safeguard to what we have now, to have the president even attempting to induce them, that was why I was so angry about that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't want their independence to be compromised. Yeah. And as it is until now, since that happened, we have not seen any act from the National Assembly to say it was because of the alleged bribery that this is happening. I'm not saying it's not, but we haven't seen anything yet. Well, unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of debates since then at the House.
Yeah.
But again, that's one of the reasons we have a National Assembly. Because again, if you say that some people accept the money, there were some people who came out to say, I am not taking this, we're not accepting this, and they spoke. And a lot of them did not take it, as far as we know. So the National Assembly too is one area that I am very proud of you. And then when you look at it in their deliberations, you will hardly tell who belongs to which party.
Which party, yes.
So that is one thing. Another part is the judiciary. We're having a pretty cool judiciary now. Like what President Jammeh was doing, if President Jammeh was only arresting people and taking them to jail, to courts, a lot of people in the diaspora would have come back and answered to their charges.
Yeah.
But when you arrest somebody before they say anything, you torture them. You don't want to have to respect the 72-hour thing, and then they don't even know why they arrested. People getting missing, people getting exiled, killed. That's the reason people were not coming out. Today, you see, Dr. Jammeh had to leave and come back and answer to the courts because we have independent courts as it is. And then one of those evidence of that is when President Jammeh was in Dakar. He had given an executive order or an order to say any soldier, any military, any security officer who is in possession of a weapon, return them to the barracks. And that if you're caught with a weapon, you're going to be considered, I don't want to say rebel, I don't know what they use. But, and then the very first time that the president was supposed to go to King Fahad Mosque for prayers in Banjul, a soldier was caught in there with a pistol.
Yeah.
He was taken to court and then he walked. So I said this to say it does not look like we have any signs of executive influence in our judiciary. If it is going underneath, I'm not knowing that. So that's one part too. Another part that they had done well, I believe, that I am so proud of is the side of the economy. Now, for an ordinary person, if you ask my mom, how is the economy doing? He probably would tell you, man, water diamond G, things are the same,
Yeah.
whatever. Of course, that is what is supposed to happen. It's supposed to trickle down to those parts.
Yeah.
But then for somebody who is going to look at the greater picture, you're going to be looking at how well is the economy doing? Is it stable?
Yeah.
Is the economy stable? How are the macroeconomic variables and stuff like that? Because in last year, the very first assessment of the IMF, when they did the staff monitoring program, that was not very good. They told us that our national debt was at 120% or something. But the last one that was done, the second one was kind of favorable because it was reduced to 80%, you know, so that was good.
But why is it not trickling down? Why are we not having things cheaper? The ordinary businesses are complaining about lack of money, and we have a lot of funding coming in.
Yeah.
People are not seeing reduction in prices. Why is that so?
And I think these are legitimate questions that people can ask, especially when everybody is saying, oh, today we have this grant of this million and this 500 million.
And the economy is doing
good.
But
a lot of the money that was coming in from the EU, for example, were going towards budgetary support. That is why they were able to stabilize the economy. That is my understanding of it. Now, and then we have seen how the government had given tax break, especially to traders, for the lack of better word, businesses.
Yeah.
But
mostly again,
rice,
some of us will say, you know, if you are giving bigger foreign companies 5-year tax breaks and people like us coming home and setting up businesses, we don't get those incentives.
Right.
So that is the problem. That is also a problem. If you're not supporting small and medium sizes, small size businesses, but you're giving tax breaks to bigger corporations who have the money.
Yes, and again, I totally agree with you, and this is why I am expecting this government to do better in that part, because the heart of the government is the small businesses, the small enterprises, local businesses. Give them opportunity, let them grow, give them tax breaks. So the bigger ones that they're giving tax breaks in, for example, rice and flour and all that, and then still it is not getting down.
That's the thing.
So this is why I think they need to reconsider. If you are giving it to them, because they're not doing favors to the businesses, it was supposed to be affecting the people, the consumers.
Yeah.
So if it is not getting there, I think they need to reconsider and see if they needed to take that back
and take another
and see
strategy.
what's going to happen. Because when they wanted to force the prices of bread to go up, that's what causes. That's why it was going up. Some people were even protesting and stuff like that. So they cannot do that. I think they needed to have a sit with these businesses and see if they cannot have this trickle down. They probably need to take that away from them, otherwise the state is losing. But for local businesses, they needed to be able to incentivize them and give them those kind of breaks to be able to support them, and even give some of them startup capital so they can take off from there, and then the economy will go up. Those are some of the areas that I have identified as areas of progress in the government.
And what do you think has been lacking since?
The one part that is lacking that is very important to me is justice. I have said that is going to be one important variable that is going to determine this government's success and failure.
Yeah.
For the most part, the change that we have been triggered by the human rights violations in this country. Now, President Jammehs' corruption and everything, they were important, but they were not as important as people getting killed, people getting arrested, people getting exiled and stuff like that. So if we're having people today walking around and their tormentors are watching them in the streets going, that's hurtful.
Yeah.
We have seen the cases. The only case that we have seen that's been tried right now, as far as I know, is the Saidykhan case. We have a body of somebody who has been exhumed. We know the circumstances under which he died, because Solo is the first person that was arrested in broad daylight. Before everybody, within 24 hours, he died. So that one, the state could not have said that they don't know anything about it. And it came on national, in the news and admitted that it died, but the response was, he's the only person who died in custody.
Yeah.
So if we have a body in here, we have people who killed, and we have witnesses, I don't understand why that is taking so long.
But the president is saying, I remember in one interview that we had with him, was saying, we don't want to do things the Jammeh way. We want to do things and follow procedures.
Right.
And then if that is what's going to happen, court cases take a longer time. Would that be a justification why everything is
no,
slow?
It's not justifiable enough, because I'm not saying that they should just grab people and send them to jail. What I am saying is, we have the courts in here. People commit crimes in this country, and we know them. Drag them to court, let the courts go and settle. That is better. Now, My own conspiracy theory is it looks like the government is put a lot of efforts in the TRRC, which is cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
Initially, I had a problem with it because I refused to believe that the Gambia was that divided. I believe that we have a handful of people who were working for the president, who was doing all these kind of things that were happening in the country. These were less than 200 people in a country of almost 2 million.
2 million.
There was never an issue to say that you APRC and UDP people were fighting here and there, people were dying. Of course, during campaign it happens.
Yeah.
They would exchange some insults, throw a lot of stones, but there was never any point that you see one community, say a Manica community fighting with the Jola community or Sarahula community fighting with the Wolofs. It never happened. So the divide that we're talking about, I don't think it exists to a point that we needed to have a TRRC to that effect. We can prosecute people who commit these crimes. For those who want to forgive them, the families or whatever, they can figure that out with them. There are instances we have fights. The state or the communities can sit and do this, but I don't think it was necessary enough to say we have to wait for the TRRC to be able to do that, because the whole essence is people will have to come and confess their crimes or alleged crimes, and then they will seek forgiveness in some instances, because if the exchange for me, if I have to come in and admit that I had done XYZ in the hopes of immunity, and I know that if I came to know that they're not going to offer me that, what is any point in me coming up? I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm saying from that perspective, you can look at it and see what is the point. But then again, nobody should say there is no need for reconciliation anyway. If we need to, we can heal. But that should not be the reason why people are not being prosecuted for the crimes that they committed. I have seen videos of some people in interviews talking about they have seen people who kill their family members. Yeah. They have seen people who torture them. And those people are still in uniform. How the TRRC is going to settle those, I don't know.
But we have seen the same thing in the government. People that have been named in the commission are still working with the government.
Right.
So what's
I heard the president say, well, they were only there as witnesses. If it does happen that they were found to be committing,
he will answer.
But then that's not the point. The whole thing is the optics are not good. If I have a pretty bad reputation, you shouldn't entrust me in something until I'm able to clean my reputation, right? For example, I'm gonna have to name names in here, like Mambure. I don't know Mambure from Adam and Eve. I don't know him. But if we're having somebody in the mold of Ahmad Sane who was doing pretty well in Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, to have that one moved aside and have somebody whose name has been all over the commission, and then he was at some point the minister of the same ministry, having that one come in, and when things are not settled, I don't understand what's the rationale behind that. I'm not saying that anybody whose names were mentioned in the commission should not have a job. I'm not saying anybody who worked with President Barrow should not have a job. But when your names are in the thick of things, I think it was best for them to wait until everything is done, just to be on the safe side. If they're cleared and they want to appoint them, they can go and appoint them.
But would you also agree that for 22 years, so many people work for the president,
100%.
And so many good people, so many resourceful people, and Mamburi Jai, a lot of people say, is one of Jammeh's biggest victims. He was sent to jail for so many years. He was victimized by Jammeh, and a lot of people said, in fact, it was because he refused to. He advised Jammeh against some things like some human rights violations. So some people will tell you every Gambian is a victim, Pata. Every Gambian was a victim.
Then every Gambian is a perpetuator too. So what do we do?
What do we do?
We
wait for the findings.
No, this is
just like the president
said. This is what we do. I don't have a problem with civil servants.
Yeah.
We can say that, like, there are people whose jobs are to serve the government, whichever government comes in, like civil servants, and even from permanent secretaries come down. I'm okay with that. My problem is those who were in political positions, especially person of decision making.
Ministers and
we have seen certain things come out of the commission. Only one thing can come to my mind, which is to say that they practice a whole bunch of poor judgment. If I am a head of a parastatal or some department, and then having somebody come with a handwritten note to tell me the president said give me this, and I give it to them, what is to say that another president comes in and asks that person to do the same thing? They are not going to do that. We don't have any measures against that. We are not short of people who can man these positions. We are not. I'm not saying Mambure should not work. They can put them somewhere. But what is the point in putting them in the same positions that they are investigating them for, or they are questioning them for, or they want them to be witnesses in them for? That's my whole thing. I don't have a problem with people serving President Jammeh and then wanting to serve President Barrow. They can do that. But once your names are in the thick of things, I think it is best that you wait until those are cleared and then you come in. For me, if I were in those positions, that's what I would do. Especially when I know I didn't do anything, I would want to clear my name first before I take up some other responsibility.
We'll take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the CRC. It's a very important process in our development, the new constitution. What we should look out for, and are Gambians really taking part in this process, because it's a very important process. So we'll take our first commercial break.
Coming up.
President Barrow is not a member of the UDP.
He cannot be the flag bearer of the UDP.
He cannot be the flag bearer of the UDP because he is not a member of the UDP.
Wow.
So President Barrow can wait when his time is over. He wants to come and rejoin the UDP, and he can apply just like anybody else.
sam pap dee na déedéet daf ma yónni woon ma joué ko bii waaw yàlla def mu gagné jàppoon $100,000 la gagné.
laa ilaha illallah.
te yow xam nga ne sama papa dafa amee cardiaque.
yow da ngaa dof yow xam nga luy $100,000.
am naa ko kay man naa lu ñëw bëggoon nga dimbali ci
demal na nga def damaa toog rek sama xel mi ne ci yow xam nga bërki démb li daal si benn waay fee waaw ma romb ko rek bërki démb waaw muy yuuxu di tëb ma ni kii lu ko dal ñu ni ma daal ci loto gaming Gambie bi la laal
jar na ko
laal na ci lu di waaw
xam nga dafa am quarté am kente am tiercé waaw maanaam nag tey jii
waaw
kente bi la te jackpot bee passé xaalis
kente mooy lan
kente maanaam mooy juróomi fas yi
waaw beneen bi
am na quarté mooy ñeenti fas yi ak tiercé tey nag xaalis bi daa gën a yokk
lu tax
ndax jackpot bële dañ kaa tegaat ci bii maanaam juróomi fas yi boo ko jàppee ci ordre mooy risque nga désordre bi sax day fay bu ma ko jàppoon
yooyu moom noonu la demee da ngay dem rek jouer
am na lu ma yaakaar
man gis naa seen kii yi kees yu ndaw yi ci biir dëkk bi mais daal dama ni lii moom amul xaalis da nga ciy def sa xaalis da am
jël wecce rek sànni ko fa xool jëmbat la laa ilaha illallah yow li nga wax ni tey ji bu yàlla dogaloon ma gañe ko lu mu gàtt
fi mu toll nii boo gañe woon $100,000
waaw lu may def
waaw nooy def
xam nga yow sama xarit nga
waaw
damay fexe nga rey say noonu
ci nan
lu mu gàtt $50,000
waay
Cerno woowee ambulance
lan la lu xew ni
sa baay gay dee na
sam papa gay lu ko rey
$100,000 dalaa ne ko boo ma gañaloon si li ma la yónni dama ko koy jox mu daanu ni sama kaw
man waxuma ko mu waxee woon la ko noonu yow la ko waroon informé ndax yow yaa ko gañe yaa gañe jàppoon
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu toll si $2,000 lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandiku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contrat bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi la ñu toog kon xaalis si contrat bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contrat warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jéebal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contrat bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jéegale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokkute réew mi.
Every young Gambian dreams of a university degree. He wants a good paying job after graduation, a pretty wife, and ultimately own a dream home.
What if I can't afford my desired dream home?
And that is why you need to visit Universal Properties.
We specialize in customer satisfaction. We listen to every of our clients' needs when we show the properties to our clients. Before you know it, you hear the client saying,
I like this house.
This is the room that cuts my heart.
And most of the time, they cling to the door, never to let go. Most clients want to close the deal right there. And that is why we always have their contracts in the trunk of our cars. We work at our client's pace. No haggle, no hassle.
We're waiting for you at our office in Caraba Avenue here in the Gambia.
Have you run out of cash power? Do you want to transfer funds to your family? Or do you want salary advance without coming to the bank? Your banking services have just been brought to you on your mobile phone. Download and install from your App Store or Google Play Trust Bank's mobile app. Simply search for TBL mobile app and follow the instructions. You can access the following services: funds transfer, cash power purchase, forex rates enquiries, mobile airtime top-up, mini statement, balance enquiry. TBL app is the only app that allows you to take salary advance and many more. You can also interact with your customers using our USSD code by dialing *533#. At Trust Bank, we bring innovation that is useful to you, our valued customer. With our mobile app and USSD, banking is at your fingertips. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
Make a difference and text CAR CAR to 900 to win a car with Gamcell. Gamcell and Rotary Club of Bruceby brings you a chance to win a brand new SUV Corando. The more you text, the more chances you win. Join Gamcell today for your chance to win a car, fridge freezers, televisions, smartphones, and lots of cash prizes. Draws will be held live on GRTS TV. Proceeds will be used to help the humanitarian activities of the Rotary Club of Bruceby in the Gambia. Every SMS costs $10. Your SMS could save someone's life. Join us and text CAR CAR to 900 today. A brand new SUV Corando awaits you. Rotary, making a difference. Gamcell, Yaibo.
Welcome back to part 2 of this interview. With me, of course, Mr. Pata Saidykhan. Pata, during the first part, we talked about, the good things that the government was doing. So we're still looking at the other things that the government, you think, have not done well. Of course, we have seen the setup of the CRC, which a lot of Gambians are saying is really good. Now we can look at our constitution and put the things that we think are appropriate. Are you looking at the process of setting up the CRC, and what do you think that Gambians should look out for?
I like the part because over the years, excuse me, I think a lot of us were kind of like angry that President Jammeh bastardized our constitution, but overall the 1997 constitution is not bad. It does have a lot of amendments that over time President Jammeh was doing, so it would suit him. But then we have some pretty good provisions in that constitution, but there are other parts too that needed, especially areas that had to restrict our freedoms, especially freedom of the press, and then some parts that actually gave a lot of powers to the executive or the president, to be specific. These are some of the things that actually ushers in tyranny, because when one person or a group of persons have more power centralized or centered in them, they hold a lot of power, the rest of it get oppressed. So I like the exercise. Ordinarily, I would think it would have been okay if they had to amend certain parts of the Constitution, but because it has been amended a lot of times, it makes sense for them to write a new one. As long as they're going to inculcate or still capture some of the great ones in that thing. But times change, and we want constitutions to stand the test of time. So I am pretty okay with that, and I have a lot of trust and for a lot of people in that commission. The chair, we have my brother Jay Sows, and then Lamin Kamaras, and a whole bunch of them. I think they're going to do well. Now, there are parts that actually people personally I am interested in. The very one is the issue of citizenship. When you say this, Gambians we are an emotional bunch of people. We go off of emotions. So when you talk about citizenship, people come up with say, "Oh, entitlement." No, it's not. Nobody is saying that nobody should be a citizen of the Gambia. We are only saying let's have our laws to protect the sovereignty of this country and our nationality. And our nationality. The Constitution, the 1997 Constitution, has path to citizenship. you don't only have to be born in a country to be a citizen.
Citizen, yeah.
Some of us who were in the U.S. for quite a while, we were not born over there, but a lot of us are citizens in that country, and we have the same, for the most part, the same rights as citizens of that place. The Gambia can do the same. We have citizenship by birth, by descent, naturalization, and all those kind of things, right? And registration, I believe.
Yeah.
We seem to be obsessed with the whole thing of anybody born in a country should be a citizen. I don't see why we're so obsessed with this.
Yeah.
My personal belief is the laws that we're making in the Gambia should be in conformity with the countries in the sub-region.
Yeah.
When you look at the countries all over the world, of the 150 plus countries in the world, only 30 countries have automatic citizenship at birth. And even a lot of those they're considering. The places like the UKs and all those kind of places, you have to be, one of your parents have to be a permanent resident for you to be able to be.
Yeah.
Now in Africa, I haven't seen any country in here that has it. Now for countries like Senegal and whatever, they still have the same things.
Same thing.
They have one of your parents to be a citizen of that country. Now the fear is that people are saying, oh, statelessness. No, it's not. If I live in Senegal,
yeah,
and then I have a child in Senegal, that child is automatic, is a Gambian citizen by descent.
Yeah.
In Senegal, if he's in Senegal, and then for whatever number of years that they have to be citizens naturalized, he can pursue that if he wants to be Senegalese. So that person cannot be stateless.
Yeah.
So that fear is gone. It's not there. Now, when it comes to naturalization, I think the Constitution says, I don't know, 15 or 17 years or something like that, whatever.
Yeah,
if we want to shorten that, we can do that. What I don't want is we just don't want to just make laws because we're going off of emotions, especially on the whole idea of Pan-Africans. Oh, we're Africans, why do we have... No, we have borders.
Yeah, we do.
That's the reason we are not Senegal. Senegal have their laws, they have their own presidents, they are a sovereign country, we have ours too.
Yeah.
That's the reason we're not Ghana, we're not Nigeria. All these countries have their laws. Let us have the laws and tell them in a way that is going to be progressive.
Yeah.
We cannot afford to be changing the Constitution anytime we have a new. Another part is the executive. I think we have aggregated and have a lot of powers in the executive.
Yeah.
The president has a lot of powers. We need to limit those powers. I'm not saying too, and some people think it's like, oh, let's give it to the National Assembly. We have to be careful because tyranny is not always by the executive. If we have so much power with the National Assembly, they can be tyrannical too. They can be tyrants. They can bully us. They can do anything that they want. And it's not going to help much because usually in Africa, the ruling government is usually the one that has more seats in the National Assembly. So if we put a lot of powers in them too, it's still going to be the same thing. That government is going to be the same. So I think what we need to do, we need to look at a balance in here. Let's have checks and balances and make our laws in a way that the judiciary, the executive, and then the legislature, these are the co-equal branches of government. Let not one of them dictate or control the other. Let it be fair. Let there be equity between these three arms of government. So I'm interested in that part. I'm also interested in the parts of elections too.
I am interested in that too. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm interested in that part. Now, for the UDP, for quite a while, we had always thought that President Jammeh was winning elections because of simple majority. And then the UDP had been advocating for that to be taken out of but for the whole essence of democracy too, it's kind of like tad bit unfair to have somebody be ruling the country without having majority or even more than half the mandate of the thing. So I think the 50+ one is reasonable for me.
I still want my opinion, the simple majority. Considering our economy, elections are expensive. Number one, elections are expensive. If no one gets 50+, we go to a second round.
Correct.
It's expensive, number one. Secondly, Secondly, the other thing that I'm worried about when it comes to 50+ is the, coalition government. You know, the problems that comes with coalition government is this. No single person is able to push their agenda, because when people come together to form a government, everybody has an agenda. And at the end of the day, when parties have different agendas, obviously I will be in the government, but obviously you have your own agenda of being the next government in waiting. That affects development, my own opinion. Correct. So that's why I'm thinking these two are paramount for me. One, having election twice in a country is expensive, a country that is trying to feed his people, and secondly, having a coalition government, because it looks like no one is going to have, with the emergence of all these political parties that are being registered now, no one is going to have a 51 plus.
Oh, somebody's going to have 50 plus 1.
You think so?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
That is my point.
But I get your point. Now, Father, these are very valid points. But now let me start with the first one to say the cost of elections. Democracy is expensive. It's pretty expensive. Let's get that fixed. Now, but because it is expensive, it is important in a democracy for us to have elections, which is for people to be able to choose their representatives. And it's because of that that a lot of institutions and stronger economies are putting a lot of financing in that, because they thought that is one singular important variable in determining a democracy. So the finance part of it, I think we can handle that, especially considering some of the money that goes into travels and some other things like the tours. And I think the election year, what they can do is maybe election year, the 10 million that is actually scheduled for elections will have to, for the tour will have to be cancelled. That is the President's Meet the People's Tour or whatever.
That's a constitutional requirement.
It is a constitutional requirement, but then they can cut it down. They can cut it down. There is no need for the President to be going with the whole country on tour. Let him just go with his technicians and go, technocrats, and go and meet people who they need to talk to, the farmers, and have their problems, the work minister, and look at the roads and stuff like that, and come back. But they should be able to have the finance for that. Now, the second one is, you're talking about a coalition government. Now, a lot of people, especially in the Gambia, are taking experiences from what we're having right now. Ours is different. In the history of politics, I have not seen anywhere that all opposition parties form a coalition before they even go to the first round of voting. Ours was necessitated by the problem that we have at the time, which was dictatorship, right? So if there has to be another election, especially from a second round, that is going to be party-led. Ours is different. This whole problem that we have in here, if Adamo was led by, if it was a party-led, it would have been different, because it would have been because the party would have had an agenda they were going to go by. But you have like 9 stakeholders that sat and have a program that they brainstorm and then have a program that 7 people shared. That is what they're trying to do. But if it is a party, all these parties have manifestos going into the elections. They have their set programs. So when we go to elections, we have the first and the runner-up needing to go to elections. So anybody who is going to join this, you're going to look at their programs and see which one do I identify with the most. So you join that person. So when you come in, you know that you're coming on board on those conditions. That this will already have a program that they're selling to Gambians, and Gambians are going to buy into them, so I'm supporting that. So I don't have much problem with that. Party-led coalitions are usually easier to manage than what we have in here today. What we have in the Gambia, I have never seen it anywhere in the world. That is why we're having a lot of complications. I'm not saying it is bad. It was out of necessity. But if it was party-led, it would have been different.
It would have been different.
It would have been different.
I'm being told we don't have any more time. But I still want to talk about the budget. The Ministry of Finance is tabling the budget at the Assembly, and a lot of concerns have been raised. 50% salary increment for civil servants. We want salaries to be increased, obviously, but can we sustain that? Where is the funding coming from? Our only main source of funding is coming from the GRA, the tax revenues. And then GRA last year was able to raise about 13 billion. Okay. And this year, the budget is almost 25 billion. Of course, if we are relying on loans and grants, why should we go double our economy based on loans and grants? Why should?
And I have not had the chance to look at that, but I've seen screenshots here and there.
Yeah.
This is the problem with the tax-based economy. The Gambia does not have any other kind of resources to say it. Well, in the words of Doe, we have the River Gambia and stuff. So I don't know how we're going to utilize this without the resources to be able to transfer. But in short, what I'm saying is, a tax-based economy where we don't have that much resources and stuff like this, it's going to be hard for you to be able to do this.
Yeah.
They have been talking about it. It's one of their campaign promises that they're going to raise, they're going to at least help and for the kind of like better the incomes of, increase the incomes of Gambians. But it does not make much sense for you to have nearly $12 billion in deficit just to have a hike in salaries.
Do you think it's politically motivated?
Well, it is a promise that they made. Of course, anytime that the president does something, a politician, there is a motive to it. That is a fact. But in our case, it is necessary. I don't know if they can afford it. I don't know if there's a need for them to even do 50. They could probably look at 35 or something less than that. But if it, personally, I think what they should have done is they should have tiers to this. The lower civil servants are the ones that are actually struggling. There is no need for you to increase the salaries of ministers and the presidents and advisors that much. I don't know where that is coming from, but I think they should have reconsidered that.
Maybe cut down on some areas and cut down on some areas because some areas are really.
I don't know if this is sustainable, but it's a very legitimate question for people to ask. How are they going to finance this? How are they going to fund this? And I think the finance ministry, the finance minister, who is the principal advisor of the president on the issues of finance, should be able to come out and talk to Gambians about this issue. They cannot just limit it to the National Assembly. Now, we also have to understand one thing. What the Ministry of Finance or the finance minister is doing is a proposal.
Yeah.
The budget is a proposal. Its approval is up to the National Assembly. So when we want to blame the president and the finance minister for that, those are politicians. That's what they do. The National Assembly members are politicians too, but then they have now the authorities in their hands to see which one do they want to scrape out and which one do they want to retain. Yeah. They can ask the president or the finance minister to go back to take certain things if they feel that it's not sustainable or they cannot fund it. They need to do that. Otherwise, I don't know how they're going to fund this. It's crazy. It does not make sense to have over almost half of your budget be kind of like
depending
deficit,
on deficit. Yeah, that is.
So I don't know how they're going to do that. They need to. I think this government, and this is why I have a problem. This is where I have a problem with the government too. Like I think they're biting a lot. When they were coming in initially, they come with a very narrow, kind of like a small program, like a handful of programs, the economy, agriculture, and a few roads and social, but mostly the reforms. All this that they're biting, if the hope is that they're dependent on the 1.5 billion that the pledges that they have, it is not wise for you to do that because that's kind of like a promissory note. It is contingent on a lot of things that they have to meet for them to be able to get that, and they give them measures. So for them to be able to meet those, for them to be able to access the funds that they have to be able to meet those.
Yeah.
So if they're expecting, because the president was saying that these are political wars that I think the president needs to stay away from because these are not money in hands. Yeah. We don't have them. Those people can hold their hands to say we're not happy with XYZ, we cannot give them funds. So if you're having your budget and you having development plans, and then dependent on contingent of the promise that you have that you don't have in hand, it does not make sense for you to be too ambitious. Yeah. So I hope they have some other avenues that they think they can tap on, not necessarily the 1.5 billion that they expect.
Sophie meew la bu sell te neex baax na ci halal ak mag yépp am na calcium iron protein ak vitamine yu bari. Sophie full cream powder milk la am na 20 gram 200 gram ak 400 gram koko ñam dootu ko bàyyi. Sophie, proudly Gambian.
GIA, the Gambia International Airlines, is getting bigger, better, and stronger as the sole ground operator at the Banjul International Airport. With an expansion in travel services, customers are assured of GIA's capacity to cater for all their travel needs, provided by professional, experienced, and ever-smiling staff. GIA's Hajj package and services, by far the best in the country, give the customers the opportunity for a memorable Hajj experience. For a more efficient cargo services, GIA means business as it launches its new multi-million-dollar ultra-modern cargo complex to revitalize and stimulate air transport. GIA, the pride of the Gambia.
Say this government is the government that we look for. We don't look a lot. We're not expecting a lot from this government when it comes to development. We want a foundation for good governance. You know, setting up a good, making sure our institutions are strong. That is what, because it's a transitional government, is quote unquote is supposed to be.
Correct.
I don't know what happens in the next couple of years, but do you see that path? Do you see this government taking that path?
Of course, I am one of the strong supporters of this government.
Yeah.
And that dates from way back. It is premised on the undeniable fact that in the Gambia, when things were tough, the only group of people that we know we can count on to be able to go on a platform and talk about anything were politicians.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this sort of a self-preservation that they were afraid, rightly so. They were not talking. We have civil societies that were virtually dead. We have journalists self-censoring themselves and stuff like that. So politicians were the ones who had the opportunity to do it. So that's why I had faith in them. I always supported them. I keep saying, at the time of the coalition, I said, even if they had let Henry Gomez to lead, and that was not out of respect for Henry, but that was because he was not here, he was outside.
Outside, yeah.
I said I would have supported. So that is why I'm going. And until now, with all what is coming on from the office of the president and President Barrow, I still support the government. I still want to believe that we still have institutions that can stand their ground and ensure that whatever is happening from the presidency and the anything around now, let them keep that one away. Let them keep doing what they're doing. Let us maintain the institutions, keep working. But the president, I think, has been derailed. And this is
derailed?
why they are derailed, yes,
okay.
Derailed, and distracted. And it's not for me. I don't think it's incompetence. I hate that word. I hate incompetence because it's hard to measure. But I don't think it's incompetence. I think for the most part, the president has an ambition to succeed himself for another term. So his political ambition to be able to succeed himself in another term is actually what is distracting him, because even when he's starting a political platform now, 2 years into his term of, let's even say 5 years, we haven't seen much as far as to say, you know what, these are the tangible things that we're doing that the government initiated and they're here. So to hear the president talk about from what I am doing is what is going to earn me a second term. Actually, it shows that the president already distracting himself. His mind is to be able to do something to have himself consolidated so people can buy into that. And I think he needs to stay away from that. The country has a very, very good program in the National Development Plan. I read it, it's good. They have monitoring measures, implementation, and the financing and stuff like that. And this is the program that they sold to the world in Brussels, and they have all those pledges. I think the president needed to stick on that. Any other agenda that he's coming with that is different from what is in the National Development Plan is unnecessary. That is a distraction. It is not for lack of competence. The president is fixated on succeeding himself instead of getting to work and get things done. Any other thing, leave that to Gambians.
Finally, before we go, we cannot have you without talking about politics. Just briefly, the UDP had their Congress last week, and the Secretary General was again re-elected. Most of the executive members were re-elected. A lot of the critics say the UDP changed their constitution just to bar certain members of the president's team from the executive. Is that true? Would you say that's true?
No, it is not. It is not. The party Secretary General and Party leader, Mr. Dabo, actually cleared that part to say for all these years, what the UDP had been complaining about President Jammeh was the abuse of state resources and state public servants. We have seen civil servants been forced to go and work at the president's farm or even campaign for the president at the time of the tour. We have seen civil servants, people in positions that are not even politicians, taking political positions, standing on political platforms and talking. We have seen the public service actually desecrated and everything taken. Now, the Constitution of the Gambia, I want to believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it's section 166, is very clear on this. Let civil servants and public servants stay out of politics. The UDP is amending its constitution to be in conformity with what the laws of the country says. If you are a government in waiting, we are expecting that Gambians are going to give us a mandate to be a government, right? We need to be able to set an example. I don't want to see a UDP's, let me say, administrative secretary be a permanent secretary, or even be heading some department.
What about ministers and the vice president?
They are not public servants. The public servants are.
But they're in government, though.
No, but
I know the constitution is clear about that. They are not public servants,
right.
but they are in government.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, that's what I'm saying. There are people that are political appointments. There are political appointments. There are others that are strictly civil servants or public servants.
Yeah.
The constitution is very clear on this.
That, yeah.
We don't want the civil service to be politicized. That is what the law says. UDP has been fighting against that for a long time. And if this is to target some people, who are we targeting? Because the guy that they're saying we are targeting do not have any ambition to be leading the UDP.
You don't know that.
Lamin Cham.
You don't know.
Because that's the name that's been saying. He was our youth president. But if you look at that man,
okay,
the
argument is let me come here. The argument is he is part of the Barrow Youth Movement.
Okay.
And then UDP is trying to get the youth movement out of the party, especially in the executive, because people like him are part of the UDP. They are in the executive.
Okay.
The Barrow Youth Movement is taking people from the UDP.
Okay.
And the UDP is trying to stop that. That's the argument.
The Barrow Youth Movement is not taking anybody from the UDP.
We
are saying no.
These are members of the UDP.
Okay, but here is the problem I think we're having in the country.
Yeah.
It does look like anybody who is seen to be supporting the president, we put those in the Barrow Youth Movement. We can, if I'm not saying this is the case, but let's even say there is a divide in here.
Yeah.
Let's even say we have the UDP and we have Barrow, right? If the support is at Barrow, let's say those who are supporting President Barrow and whatever agenda he has. One thing people have to be mindful of is this. This whole youth movement, its conception, when they brought this idea up in one of the forums in the UDP, I was a part of it in that forum, and I cautioned against it. I said their problem at the time was, I'm not going to mention names in here, but they do know themselves. The problem was, after the National Assembly elections, there were people within the UDP who took up positions of responsibility in other areas, and the party was dormant. And then that was when Honorable Mama Kane was going around campaigning, promising boreholes and stuff like that. So when these people came in, they said, oh, Mama Kane is the one taking all our support, blah, blah, blah. Our party is dormant. These people, they have positions there, blah, blah, blah. I said, you guys need to be careful. African politics is seasonal. We just got out of politics. Everybody has that energy and they're running around. There's going to be a time everybody is going to slow down.
Yeah.
Until we get to another election cycle. But if you are not satisfied with that, the UDP already has a youth wing. Go and join that. Pa Malik is here. He's part of us. He is the first vice president. Go and join the UDP youth wing and support it from within. I say that. So the whole thing was not initiated by President Barrow. It was initiated by youths who were claiming to be supporting the UDP, who were part of us, and they want to form this. So now when this idea came up, they did not have the blessing of the party, for example, and they don't want to have to solve the idea. They went ahead and approached the president to have it change into that. That's why when you look at it, the original founders of this movement, whatever, before it became a movement, they were all UDP youth.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the Barrow Youth Movement taking people from it, they are not taking people. The whole idea is confusing the people to tell them that the youth movement is part of the UDP. So when they call, they say, hey, this is UDP. UDP cannot support an alternative program to what we have in the National Development Plan. And as far as I know, the youth movement has no program that is coming from the National Development Plan. Now, if the president or anybody is taking the National Development Plan programs and giving it to the president's youth movement, that is something for a national discourse. We can do that, but then that is not us. So when they go and tell them, because of course they were people from the UDP, to tell them, oh, this is a government thing. You see, I belong to the UDP. This is what the UDP are trying to step away from, but. They could have, the party could have still made a position very clear on that without even changing that law, if that is what the problem is. Because what Secretary General says at the rally to say that we don't recognize any other youth movement other than our youth wing, we could have said that even without amending the laws.
Can we agree that there's division in the UDP? Can we agree on that?
I don't want to say division in the UDP, but I can say there is some degree of confusion within the UDP. We have people who are wanting the president to have a second term, and they would want the president to have that term under the UDP. But what they fail to understand is on December 3rd of 2016, President Barrow did resign from the UDP. That letter was written and sent to the party secretariat, and the response from the deputy party leader who was leading the party at the time, Jammehs, did acknowledge it November 6th and send it to the IEC. It was not to say I'm resigning as a flag bearer of the UDP. I am resigning as a member of the UDP. So if these people want the president to come back, the president will have to serve his term. When he is done, he can come and reapply or at least join the party again and come in. This is why we're putting up his position as the deputy treasurer for election. So he is not part of the party. So the division here, if there is any, I believe, is that people who want the president to have another term, and he want the president to have that term on the UDP ticket, and then the orthodox UDP, who were actually thinking whoever wants to be the president of the UDP will have to follow the constitution as to how to become a member of the party, so the leader of the party. So I think that's what it is, and people are divided. But I am hoping from the pronouncement that was made both at the closing at the rally and buffer zone, the party leader made it very clear as to who should be speaking on behalf of the UDP. And who are the regional representatives that the people should be listening to. So I'm assuming if the Barrow Youth Movement or whichever movement comes to say we are coming from the UDP or this is what we're doing, it's pretty clear now who is who within the party.
Are you worried, like so many of us, that the president and the vice president's political ambitions are different, and these are the people that are leading the nation? Are you worried as a Gambian first?
No.
Why?
I am not worried. See, people have to understand one
A lot
thing.
of people said the vice president should resign after a statement that he issued.
But what statement did he issue?
One, when he categorically declared that the UDP will not accept. When the vice president said, the secretary general said, I will not accept anybody, whatever your designation, to divide this party. I will lock horns with you. Okay. A lot of people said that was directed to the president.
So what made you think that was not directed at me?
I mean,
what made you think that was not directed at you?
Because the confusion is between the Barrow Youth Movement and the UDP.
No, I'm saying it does happen anywhere. Look, everybody has seen it. Anywhere, right now, a couple of years ago, we were not even having people that we would fill for these positions. There are people anywhere, in any organization that you are, there are people in there that are there for a particular interest. Everybody has an interest in joining a party. There are others who perhaps want to lead the party. There are others who want other people to lead. What the Secretary General or the party leader said, Mr. Davo said, anybody who wants to divide the party, it doesn't matter. You can be a tailor, you can be a farmer, you can be a president, you can be who knows, maybe he's even talking about some of our ministers. Do you know if he was talking about Ahmad Sani? Do you know if he's talking about Lamin Damundiwa? Why do we specifically think he's talking about the president? Because what Mr. Davo
because the president said anybody that any party can contest against him, but if anybody from the UDP contests against him, that is coup d'etat. Well, because the president still considers himself as UDP.
Yeah, but
because he said he's UDP.
I think the president was ill-advised and he misspoke. That was quite disappointing, because President Barrow needs to understand, just even out of respect for his peers in the coalition, that statement was not supposed to come from him. On the side of the UDP, when it came out, I told them I'm not worried, because the UDP has mechanisms to be able to address these things. But I was certainly very convinced that the president is not part of the party as it is, because he had resigned. So he is not the one to tell UDP what we need to do when it comes to leadership in that position. And not even Mr. Davo can do that. So with all the pronouncements that are coming up and what Mr. Davo said, he specifically spoke on the party. Mr. Davo on that day at the Congress, he told everybody for the duration of this Congress, whatever I am saying in here, I am saying it in the capacity as the Secretary General and leader of the party. He had never said anything that you can say that the Vice President should not have said this. He never said anything. He addressed his party and his party supporters and anybody who wanted to divide the party. That can be anybody. And we're ready for that. And I think he knows that. Like, Mr. Davo has a specific responsibility.
A lot of people are worried that he will be sacked very soon. Are you guys worried?
For what?
I mean, it's evident that the president and the vice president are not in the same team politically.
Bruh, they are on the same thing.
Politically, they are not in the same team.
This is what it is. Let the president show his desire that he wants to lead any party or form his party. That is fine. Nobody can stop him from doing that. When they were appointing Useno as the foreign minister and the vice president, subsequently vice president, everybody knew he was leading a political party. What do you expect? You expect Vice President Davo to fall his hands and say, well, now that I'm a vice president, I don't care what happened to my party?
But if you're president...
He is a vice president, or he is in the cabinet.
But if the president is interested in running...
If the president is interested in running, let the president wait until his term is over and he can seek another term.
That is not logical.
When he wants to do that, he can seek another term. If he wants to seek it under the UDP, right now, he does not qualify to seek leadership under the UDP.
Meaning,
let everybody understand that.
Meaning President Barrow?
President Barrow is not a member of the UDP.
He cannot be the flag bearer of the UDP.
He cannot be the flag bearer of the UDP because he is not a member of the UDP.
Wow.
So President Barrow can wait when his time is over. He wants to come and rejoin the UDP, and he can apply just like anybody else. When he was seeking the leadership of the party, he went with some other people. There were 3 contestants, including President Barrow. So it was not like UDP picked somebody to say, hey, come over here and be a leader. He contested. He had to win people, 3 people, to have the flag bearership of the UDP. So what made him think that he's just going to be handed over that now to be the go and lead the UDP? Not even Mr. Dabo was expecting that. So I think the president needs to get that clear.
So it's clear that the UDP is not going to make President Barrow the flag bearer.
President Barrow is not a member of the UDP. He does not. He resigned from our party. And for you see what happened in the Congress?
Yes.
For you to be even to be a delegate, you have to be a bona fide member of the party. President Barrow cannot be a delegate of the UDP now, much more a flag bearer. He does not qualify.
And who's going to be the flag bearer?
The UDP has the laws are pretty clear on this. We have a national executive, and we have a selection. We have a executive committee, the central committee. They have a ways of doing that. The same way that if you're interested, like we did with President Barrow, you go and apply. If there is a primary, people contest, you guys go and win it and get it. That can be Honorable Dabo. It can be anybody else. But as far as I know, the president is not a part of our party.
Thank you very much, Pata Saidykhan. And what's your final message to Gambians watching you right now?
My final message is I think the government, I think. I'm talking about the government. I'm talking about the president. I'm talking about the government because we need to do a distinction in here. They have a huge task ahead of them. The people give them the mandate, the responsibility to come and reform the Gambia. Whatever ambition that they have, the politicians have, they can work on those ambitions, but let it not be something that is going to contradict or contravene the agreement that we have in the National Development Plan that is supposed to steer this country forward. Be it the MOU, whether signed or not, they have some important parts of it because everybody seems to be obsessed with the 3 years. The MOU is more than 3 years. The agreement is beyond 3 years. They did talk about the 2-term limit of the president. They talked about removing the age limit, which now nobody is talking about because they thought it was meant for Usenu. It was not only Usenu. Usenu is more than 65. Honorable Saleh is more than 65. OJ is more than 65. I don't know how old Ahmad Ba is. But every single one of these, there shouldn't be any limitation or restriction as far as age is concerned. So that's why apparently even my DOI colleagues are not talking about the 65 because now Honorable Salah will not be able to contest if that part is not there. So that part is new. That is dead. So the government has some important things in here. They wanted to work on the agriculture, the socio-economic development. When we are challenging them to respect the MOU, let us factor those ones too in there. Let us not just confine it to the 3 and the 5 year term. 3 or 5 years, people that were voting in this country, when you keep telling people that they voted for 3 years.
People voted for 5 years.
People, I don't see anybody who in this country voted for 3 years.
People voted for 5 years.
People voted for 5 years, but even at the time they had said 7 years, people were going to vote because the thing was we wanted to end what was happening.
Do you think the president should respect the MOU or should just
go
ahead with the constitution?
That is up to the president. The president can choose. Now the thing is, the MOU, the whole premise of the 3 year was they were going to amend the laws because as it is now, when the president resigns or in an event of a vacancy exists in the office of the president, the vice president assumes leadership to serve the residue of the term. If the vice president cannot, the speaker does. So there is no room for snap elections or elections in the absence of if something happened to the president. So the whole thing was they were going to change the laws so they can have the 90 days, like should something happen, should there be a vacancy, in 90 days there can be re-election, there can be election. Until the laws are changed, the 3 year thing now needs to be mute because if the president can choose to resign tomorrow for whatever reason or no reason, and then the succession will be passed. So let them concentrate on the development of the country, let the president just simmer down on the political pronouncement because the latest one was very unfortunate. It was very unfortunate the president can sit over here and tell people that some people will drop off the way because he's a boss. As far as you know, I thought we were an arc. We were a nose arc that everybody was in. And now we turn to bus drivers and stuff. So I think he needs to be careful with that and the whole issue of security forces in here. President Barrow need not flex his muscle to remind people what he has. He told us that was the reason we had change. And right now, unfortunately, no Gambian is afraid as to what powers anybody has in this country. The whole reference to economic thing was unfortunate, and I am hoping
but what he said was he had those powers, but he will not. The important thing is not to use it.
So Fatou,
yeah.
What is the whole point in me going to the Independence Stadium packed with how many? What is the capacity of the Independence Stadium?
25,000.
25,000 people, and I go on the speaker to say, I am here with a bomb. You guys just calm. I'm not going to let it go.
Don't worry, I'm not using it.
What is the point in telling them if you don't want to scare people? There's absolutely no need the president doing it. Everybody knows the powers of the president and the executive. There's no need for him to do that. And for me personally, I took offense to it because I came from a party that if you look at it, I'm not saying that any of these political parties do not go through that. But we have a very bad history with the NIA and the security forces in this country. We just talked about Solo Sandang. He was killed by the brutal NIA. We talked about people massacred, those who were alleged to have committed a coup and they were killed by the junglers. We talk about the Kanyuba Kanyas and all of those people. We saw when the UD people were arrested and they were beating them. They were beating Useno and others and his executive. These were people in their 60s and 70s. So if you're coming to remind people that I still have those, who are you talking to? Who was the president talking to? He was not talking to the APRC. Those people, they're already used to that. They know they had the power. So there's no need for the president to make those kind of pronouncements. It was unfortunate, and I'm hoping ECOWAS, that is the mission in the Gambia, are able to assure Gambians that they are not here for the president. They're here to safeguard our democracy and protect everybody in here. The president cannot use any of the security forces against Gambians. That was unfortunate. So I think people just need to calm down, go about their business. Be it Adama, Usenu, or any other politician, they don't have the powers to take us back to where we were. So Gambians should be safe.
Thank you very much, but I think I just want to make sure I make this clarification. The president, when he said that, in the context he said was he had those powers, but he would not use it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people took offense in even saying it, but I think it's also important to clarify.
Yeah,
what
you can clarify all
yeah, whatever he said.
If I come in here and I want to rob you, be like, yo, give me your money, man. I have a gun, but I'm not gonna shoot you. I'm still trying to instill fear in you. But then, whatever it is, man, this is why when you're in public, you're making public pronouncements.
It's important as a public official what you say.
Yeah, and with all the gaps coming from the presidency, I think it's about time that they slow down on those things. Let us concentrate on nation building. The democracy, all what we're seeing here within the political parties, that's what we want. That's democracy. It has it's inconvenient. It has its unnecessary parks and stuff like that. But they're still part of it. We have to just take it as it is.
Thank you very much, Pata. I think that's a very interesting discussion, and it's definitely great to have you in our studios. And this is December. We will be hosting a lot of Gambian diasporans. And normally, we dedicate this month to Gambians because a lot of them visit. So thank you very much for coming, and good night to you all. Bye-bye. See you next week.